my true beliefs is that being I have been gifted with my gift of my wife, I stand fast on external distractions. I think it's attractive to a lot of people that a man that can be unmoved from the glory of his wife. The Lord has placed me in an iron hole, and my wife gets everything. And a lot of women in my life are trying to come around and try to crack it to see if it's as tight as it is. It's unbelievably tight. But yeah, I stand fast because of my love for my wife.
And for me, it's pretty much the same. One is always a reminder, this ring is a true reminder of that you're married. It's when you put it on, it is a symbolism of that union that you have with your mate. And I'm a liberal type of person, so I still, although I'm married, I still like to go out and have fun with my friends and family. When I say fun, I mean, club life or what have you. But the thing about it is that when I go out, I know I'm married. I know to conduct myself as such. I'll dance with people, but the point of the matter is, I know I'm going home to my husband at the end of the night. So it's that's the thing about the marriage, is that you have a partner. You have a partner for life. You have someone that actually love you and support you, and just a part of you. So it's like those are my instructions right there. I truly took, when I stood there in that church and stood in front of God, I took my vows serious, because again, when I got married, I wanted that to be the first and last. I didn't get married to Johnny to divorce him. So everything that I do, rather it's on the up and up or on the low. It's the point that I'm willing to put my best foot forward and give it all that I have. So it's just, again, reminding myself, not a reminder, but just basically knowing that you have somebody there and you don't want to do anything to harm that person if you call yourself loving them. So
I would say it was strength and understanding. Like, there were things in our relationship, not so much with outside things. Like, we've been very fortunate. Like, we haven't had to deal with infidelity, outside children, other relationships, not very many external factors that we as adults reached out and brought it in to our marriage.
Right.
A lot of our downsides have been, like he said, sickness. And what I learned and what God has taught us, that if you stand true to what God is telling you and the obstacles that he gives you, and you don't bury your head in the sand, or you don't bury your talents and your fears, and you confront them, that his blessings would be, eternal life, long life, happiness. And every time we got to a point to where sickness would get to the point to where a doctor would look at me and say, most people die within 2 years of diagnosis. And instead of me kind of folding into a box, God just reminded me that he gave me someone to fight with. And if I trust God, then I'm going to allow what he's brought into my life to be a shield, not so much as the fighter, but be a shield, somebody that will help me to understand that if I give up the fight, he will push me to keep fighting. And that was a lot, because I expected a lot of the battles that I had from previous relationships. I was waiting on the baby mamas and the infidelity and the lies and, all of these things, that I was so caught up in waiting on God to bring those types of trials into our relationship, that when sickness came, it was like, whew, oh, you diabetic? I can deal with that.
Right.
And
Right.
it became a lifestyle change. And I didn't give up a lot, but it took a lot out of me mentally to go from being support to carrying the entire load. And I would pray, and parents would tell you, don't pray for patience, don't pray for strength, because then you have patience to deal with bull. Like, they always had these rules about what not to pray for and what to pray for and why. And it was just, I had to trust that God didn't make a mistake. I made the mistake. And if I work on what I did wrong, he'll give me the tools I need to make it better. And that was me. I wanted to be the nurturer, the caregiver.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. So
Yeah.
when he got sick, that was just already in me. It wasn't an idea of I'm taking care of him so he could take care of me later. It was, he deserves somebody to make him feel better. He deserves the time to get strong. And God showed me that that was the right decision by making sure that I got promotions on my job. I got the raises that I needed. I got the time off when I needed.
Yeah, to
like,
carry it.
To carry it. Like the load wasn't a burden. It was the load that I had to carry and that I had to pull. But he made sure that there were many rewards at the end. Like I was never tired of being the person that had to carry it all until he got his strength back. And God promised me that if I stood to it and I stayed faithful and I stayed prayed up, that my husband would make it through. And when and if we needed him to do it all by himself, he would have the power and the strength to do so. And nobody truly wants to have somebody prove to you what you've done for them they can do for you. Like that was never the goal. It was just to let him know that, listen, I love you beyond everything, and the only person or only thing that's going to take me away from you is going to be God. You're not going to take yourself away from me. So if God wants you and he needs you more than I do, that's the only person I'm going to bend to. And getting him to understand that, it was so much action, and it was so much because for him, he wanted to be the provider. He wanted to be the person that was leading a lot of things, and there was nothing wrong with that. But physically and health-wise, he wasn't able to do so. So I had to really lean on God to say, listen, I have to be the breadwinner in this relationship, but I'm not the man. I'm not wearing the pants. I'm not changing roles. I'm just increasing mine. And we had to like really pray on that because that was harder for him than it was for me.
Yeah, that was really hard, and on top of that, to add on to what you're saying is that's where the maturity came in for me, because sometimes acceptance is a big key. Acceptance is a key. There are so many keys, but acceptance is one of them, and I had to accept the fact that I had to grow in my understanding as a man to understand that sometimes the roles switch, because I was down for like a year and the roles switched, and I couldn't be childish about it. I had to be very mature about it, and I think that's what God showed me was to kind of like put away those childish things, become a man about the situation, because my wife became the breadwinner, and I'm sitting back and I'm at home, I'm ironing the kids' clothes to go to school, and I'm sitting back like, man, I gotta get back out there, but I couldn't. I didn't have the strength. But I in my mind, I didn't think I had the strength, but I had the strength through God and through her. She allowed me to see her in a different light, and her strength was on display, like I talked about in the beginning. She had this strength, she was loyalty and all that. So God puts those things to the test for you to show you, what's really going on, and I was able to see that in her, and I became very mature, and I think it helped me reach another plateau in my maturity and in my manhood, to be able to swallow my pride and allow the woman to lead me. Not necessarily she wasn't taking over as the leader, but she had to lead me. She had to lead me. I mean, from childbirth, I'm gonna say this because I know I'm gonna go all up. But a woman is very, very, very outstanding in the way that she was created, because a woman gets to birth both male and female. So she gets to see both of them. She gets to nurture the male. She gets to nurture the female. So I always tell my wife all the time, oh, I done learned I'm in touch with my feminine ways because I come from a woman. And my friends, they laugh at me and everything, but I think that's where I've grown at in my maturity is to understand that the woman is one of God's most precious creations, and I really do appreciate this woman sitting to the right of me, and I love her with all my heart. And we just shared our 13th anniversary on May the 2nd, and the thing I told her while we were sitting there, I'm getting chills myself. While we were sitting there and talking, and she asked me something. What do you want? What else do you want from me or something like that? And I told her it's just a lifetime. You know, that's all I want from you is a lifetime. That's it. So, you know, give me a lifetime. I hope you give me a lifetime. And
I told you 1,000 years. That's all I got.
God blesses us to have a lifetime and share a lifetime together. Yep.
I like it. I'll think about it.
Well, you know, thank God for our pastor. By this time, we were up under a different ministry, and I really just thank God for our leaders at the time. Like, they really took us up under their wing. They counseled us. We could call them, you know, any time of the day, and just really like, you know, like I'm mad, I'm done, I don't do this anymore. They were the ones like that would talk us off the ledge. So they were very instrumental in really, you know, they never said, oh, you know, you have to stay together. It was never about that, but they wanted us to first individually, you know, be healed. And then, you know, if there's some hope, you know, work it out. Like, I know, you know, you guys are like perfect for each other. So definitely, you know, if you can, if there's just a little glimmer of hope, like, work it out. And then there's a lot of, you know, I've heard people say, you know, oh, don't have, you know, a whole bunch of people in your marriage. But for us, we had a group of friends.
Okay. Well, for me, it'd be a community.
A community, like a group, like a community that they just, you know,
They covered us.
They covered us.
They were always there.
Always there for us, like prayed for us. Like, they would, you know, come on, y'all, come out, come hang out with us. And they really like just, you know, and we didn't have to worry about, you know, whatever we said to them that it would, you know, get out. Like, they really like covered us and just, you know, kept us and just prayed for us.
Encouraged us.
Talk to us. I know they probably got tired of me because I was just, for me at that time, I was just like back and forth. And I was like, God, you're going to have to, you know, give me something. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but I need you to you know, guide me. And so for me, I began to like fast, and I would wake up in the middle of the night. Like, the Holy Spirit would just wake me up, and I would just go. It was like freezing cold. Actually, yeah, it was the winter time. And I would go. At this time, we ended up having to move in with his parents. Therese had lost his job. So it was just a lot. We lost our apartment. So you can imagine what we're already trying to heal from. And then these other, you know, things are just happening like left and right. And I'm just back to back. And I'm just like, Lord, I can't take anymore. Like, you got to give me something, because right now it's pretty much we have nothing. You know, we have these 2 children. We're living in his parents' house, and I thank God for his parents for taking us in. I don't know. I don't even know what would be of us now. But I would get up in the middle of the night. It's freezing cold in the garage, and I'm just in there, and I'm just crying out. I'm like, Lord, something's gonna have to change. Like, something has to change, and he led me to start anointing Therese while he was asleep. So after I would pray, I would come back in, get some anointing oil, and just like he's sleeping, and I just like rubbing it all over it, like on his head and on like his arms, anywhere that I just saw skin, I would just, you know, anoint him, and I'm just praying. I'm like, I don't know, you know, Lord, what you want me to pray, but whatever needs to be done in him, do it.
So you were touching me while I was asleep?
I was going to war. for my marriage.
I mean, I was sleeping hard.
He was sleeping hard. He ain't even budge. And that made me a little mad because I'm like, you don't feel me anointing you? Because I know my mom used to like get up in the middle of the night and pray over us and anoint, and I would be like waking up like, who is that? He did not budge. But maybe that was
good.
That was God, you know, keep him asleep. Lord, do what needs to be done in him. And that's what I was doing, and I had to, as a saying, love the hell out of him. And I did. Even when it made me mad, I'm like, nope, I'm going to give him what I want from him.
Yeah. And that's one of the main things that our pastor would say back home. Treat them how you want to be treated, no matter how they treat you. And
The covenant is the blueprint, right? You stand before, God and the pastor and your family and friends, and you take that covenant, those are your initial instructions, I would say. With those instructions, you also have, mentors that can teach you, examples. I don't know. It's conflicts within yourself are more so exactly what they are. There's stuff that you have to deal with. You have to come to grips with yourself. Deal with those issues first, the man in the mirror type things. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I mean, there are all kind of distractions on the outside, and you just have to remain focused and, in the right headspace, I would say, to be able to deal with that.
Well, I would say as far as distractions, and there are lots of distractions if you allow, right? Yeah. So, some things you have to disengage or disconnect from. And I think the big thing for us was to recommit. Yeah. Once we made a decision that we wanted to continue our life together, and not just for the kids and not just for face value, but for us, because we love each other, because we wanted to, we knew we were destined to be together. We wanted to stay together. We had to recommit. So that's when we did our vow renewal. And
after 10 years.
After 10 years of marriage, we renewed our vows because we were at a point where we had to make a decision, right? And so the distractions were to cut off certain people, or the instructions were to cut off certain people. Was to recommit.
Even if it was family. Even if it was family.
Recommit, cut off certain people. We began to communicate better. Communication was
the problem.
Yeah.
It was the initial problem.
Yeah. So, and respect each other. Respect each other's needs and desires. And once we learned to do that, I believe things got a lot better for us. Or not, but it did.
Well, I want to add to that. It was more so communication was the issue, but the way you communicate. So the way you communicate, as my wife, I perceive it or I comprehend it a certain way that you don't understand.
Right.
So and vice versa. When I communicate to you, you're going to comprehend how you comprehend it. So therefore, there's still an understanding that has to happen. Communication was good, but the other part of that was the understanding of each other. Mm-hmm. Because I'm still saying what I'm saying. You're like, yeah, I understand, but do you understand it like how I said it, or do you understand it how you received it? So that was that adds to that. Understand it.
That's always a thing.
Yeah.
But that's what we had to. When you say instructions from God, that's the things that we had to commit to doing, is respecting each other enough to try to understand. And then once we got to a realization that a lot of times we were saying the same thing to each other, just in a different way, is when we started to realize that, I don't want to say distractions, but the enemy can come in and just bring confusion out of a situation that it doesn't even need to be confusion in, And so we just had to really commit to trying to understand each other, not giving up on communicating and understanding each other.
And I said, and I know I said it earlier when I said, you get those first set of instructions from your pastor or whoever it is you're standing for. Those first instructions you say for better or for worse, right? The gem and all of that is nobody gets to choose what's that worst part, that better part and that worst. You know what I'm saying? Nobody gets to choose or say what level of worse is more or what level of good is good. It's just you gotta take those instructions and you gotta follow them all the way out.
Right.
You gotta play them all the way out. You know what I mean? Till death do you part.
Mynisha J. Rogers, minister, entrepreneur, and author of the Healing Network book states, "The key to believing, receiving, and maintaining our healing is found in our network, which consists of the FAR principle: faith, action, and relationships." She reminds us that God still heals. He healed before, He is healing now, and He will heal again. So now is the time to believe, receive, and maintain your healing. Get your copy today.
I'm gonna say, believe in your unity. Obstacles gonna be there, but my strength is my wife. We hold hands when obstacles approach. We collaborate. We huddle. We are a reckoning force when it comes to obstacles. When I was a single man, it was hard. I met her. We iron-nosed our way through things, and it's unbelievable. The path we have made, the things we achieved. I can walk to my house proud. I see my wife, I'm proud. My kids, proud. My life is set. So now I can move forward in the God glory with my family to the end.
And I can pretty much say the same. That one thing that Johnny and I do a lot is communicate. And when, rather it's financial problems or rather there's an issue, the first thing we do is say, okay, let's come to the table. Let's talk about it. What is the plan? Because I must admit, when we first got together, we at that time weren't, I'm going to say as far as the financial aspect of things, we were, although we've been blessed with certain careers, Johnny, a technical career, me more so an administrative type, clerical type environment. At that time when we met, we weren't making a lot of money. So it was like, okay, the thing about it is, how are we going to benefit off of this though? How is it that we're going to make it work? So, and it's just that we came to the table and did a financial plan. You know, we're going to start doing this. We, joined bank accounts. We start paying off, certain bills. We start saying, okay, at this particular time in our life, let's start looking for this type of job. Let's move into in this area. It's just the thing about communication is the key. And that has always been our shield, our protector, as far as, okay, let's just talk and let's put it out on the table. And the one thing that I can say about with me and Johnny is that we have really been truthful about a lot of things in our lives. And that's very important, is that we have talked about ex relationships, everything. And it's just like, just be honest, because when you can talk about everything and you don't have that barrier, it's just amazing how much you can do as a couple, because it's like it basically peels off that layer of you feeling as though, what is it that I really can talk to my husband about or my wife? What is it that, and it makes you not afraid to just reveal things. So it makes it, communication and just being honest is everything. And that's how, basically we have, grown in the relationship spiritually, loving, and financially, so it's just communication.
Through, I got you. Through prayer.
Yeah.
Through prayer, keeping God first. Anytime there's a challenge, or some type of obstacle that approaches us, to a point that it can cause a problem, you first have to be slow about it, and then just ask God to help the situation, help the person, help me, help whoever it is, help us to understand that, if we just have a little bit more love, a little bit more patience with each other, we can manage it, we can get through it. Forgiving, being forgiving, forgiveness, and just trying to be more loving to one another. That's what I would say.
I think for me, it's
Concern,
it's about being concerned, because I would
consideration.
find myself, like, I would see him like struggling with something, and I had to learn that always just say, "Hey, what's wrong?" wasn't always the right question to ask, and it would just be about, "Did you pray about it? Did you write it down? Are you ready to talk?" And giving him the space to deal with whatever he's dealing with, and then find the words and the time to bring it to me if it's something that he feels I can help him with. And on the flip side of that, if it's something that I can't deal with, he would make a decision whether or not to even bring it to my realization, and a lot of that has come from trusting that God will fix it. But for us, it was a lot of the concerns that we had as a couple came from other people's problems. It wasn't ours. Mm-hmm. It was, my brother is in jail, financial, some garbage that he did, or his brother moved halfway across the country and can't get back. It was, we were picking up everybody else's problems and bringing them in, and we were laying them out for the other person to deal with. And we had to pull back and go to the Bible and said, "You know what, you your brother's keeper, but I don't have to bear your burden. I don't
protect the
I don't
first.
have to pick up everything that you throw down and put it on as my own."
Right.
And I think for us, because I'm the oldest child in my family, but he's the middle, but we both had that flaw that we wanted to be fixers, and it wasn't fixing us. So for us as a couple, we had to realize that at the end of the day, we can only get ourselves into heaven. We can't get anybody else in. So once we learned that, and we learned how to trust that in each other, everything else is easy, because he knows. I'll look at him in a minute. I ain't got nothing to do with your brother. He'll be all right. And so that's just how, we keep the realization and the acceptance and the understanding.
For me, I would actually have to look beyond the circumstances, and like she said, you have to love them no matter what. So that way, even though it may not seem like it's effective in the beginning, and in the long run, it actually works out in the end for you, no matter what.
Well, for me, just being honest. Of course, like in the beginning, we had our communication issues. So now, instead of me holding on to that, if he says something, not that he talks any kind of way to me, because he doesn't. But of course, sometimes the enemy will have you, like, you'll say something and it just comes to me like, "Oh, you trying to be a little mean, you got a little nastiness in there." So instead of me holding on to that, "Hey, when you said X, Y, and Z, like that kind of hurt my feelings." And of course, he probably like, "What? Like, I didn't even say it like that. Like, this is what I meant. I'm sorry if it, came across kind of, ugly. I didn't mean it that way." And so that's one of the ways I try to just be, honest. This is how you made me feel in that moment. Can you please, help me out so I don't get upset? And then,
for me, I guess I can talk a little rough every now and then.
He can talk a little rough, and I can talk a little rough as well. So all the time, and that kind of came from, I used to be, like, when we first got married. You're supposed to, be, loyal, and I got like kind of quiet, but out of everything that we went through, like, I became a little more vocal, probably
too vocal sometimes.
So I know I have to pull myself back, check my tone, check my attitude. Like, "Girl, how you saying it?" And sometimes after I said it, I'm like, "Oh man, like that I have to come back and, ask for forgiveness. Like, you know what? I was a little hard. That came off a little, a little rough, and I apologize. And he should be like, yeah, you did. And I'm like, well, you going to forgive me, so what's up?
Well, one thing I try to do is make sure that we pray together. And I realized something. It's an amazing thing when I can hear Barry's prayers to God for and about me. It makes me understand how he feels, and it makes me understand and know what he's petitioning God for me, like what he wants out of his wife. You know what I mean? What his prayers for his wife are, and then I can do the same thing in return. So that's a really big thing for me. Remaining present means we're on one accord. We're praying together. We're communicating about the same thing, as far as our life together is concerned. So,
I agree.
yeah.
I want to be a part of bringing excellent and compelling content to life. From finding talent as a casting director to producing strong projects for television and film. There's something amazing and beautiful when the casting director can help usher the actor into transforming into a character, helping them to see and be the character, understanding the character's life story without seeing a face because they're the face.
You happy? I thought when I gave myself up, that was enough for you to be happy. But obviously not. Obviously not.
My purpose is a gift from God, and I'm honored and humbled by it. Oprah Winfrey once mentioned that you're doing what you're purposed to do when you can do it for hours on end. I'm excited to be able to live in my purpose and bring Simone Baldwin Productions to serve and deliver.
Yeah, we have nothing.
We have nothing on that. Like
it wasn't really about forgiving. It was just once we learned it
was like
forgiveness wasn't necessary.
Well, I wouldn't say it wasn't necessary to the point that we didn't have to forgive. I just think we were mature to the point that you didn't have to, break down the forgiveness. Mm-hmm. Like we had, I forgive you, do you forgive me? And go through the whole motion of it. I think we were just mature to the point that I could kind of tell, like, okay, she done forgave me, or he done forgave me, or whatever. And we just kind of move on. Just move on. We don't stay stagnant there.
Avoid doing things that need forgiveness.
Avoid doing things that need forgiveness to start with.
It's so much.
Communicating. If you think, like, if I think it's wrong or I think it's gonna be a problem, I've learned. She got me trained that I've learned to just ask. Yeah. Okay, wait a minute now. Is this gonna be a problem for you if I do this or that? Yeah. That way we don't run into all of that confrontation and having to say we're sorry or apologize and be apologetic about a lot of different things. I'm not saying it's perfect. Oh, by no means it's not perfect. But those type of things, like she said, you want to try to get into heaven. That's the ultimate goal. So those type of things we try to avoid at all costs, because it can, it's already enough crazy stuff going on. You don't need to add to it.
If you don't like saying sorry, don't do the things
that make you say sorry. Yeah.
I had to learn how to forgive myself. Just taking time, talking with God, changing a lot of things that I did. Mainly refocusing on, once I forgave myself, loving myself, and then loving her, and making sure that what I did, I put her first and her feelings, and then go from there, because I was the initiator for what was one of the main causes. So that was one of my things I had to do.
Crystal?
Well, for me, forgiveness was not instant. You know how they say, take it to the altar and leave it there. Well, I would take it to the altar and then I would take it back with me to my seat. It took about 4 years for me to like fully like be free from that thing. Like it held on to me, and I held on to it. It didn't hold on to me. I held on to it longer than what I should have. And I think that's what kind of took us a long time to really get to where God really wanted us. But once I really started, like, Lord, take this from me. And I would leave little pieces here and there. I wasn't picking it back up. Like, I'm not going to let, if I hear a certain song or if I see a certain person, now I'm upset. No, that does not have power over me anymore. I just, I couldn't, I didn't want it anymore. So I guess once I made up my mind, like, all right, I'm done with going in this circle. I'm tired of, going through the same test over and over again. Like, it's time to, I'm ready to go to the next level.
It was time to grow up.
It was time to grow up.
One of the main things also was leaving Jacksonville, moving to South Carolina. For us, it was leaving our parents, leaving our friends, our circle, coming here, cleaving to my wife, depending on her, and that's one of the main things that actually made us grow, was coming here.
Those winter moments are real. Those are real moments. Having to learn how, in those moments, forgiveness doesn't work on my timetable.
That's good.
I don't even know how to anyone else to explain that. Forgiveness doesn't work on my timetable. So if it's something that I did or put us in a situation, yes, I can forgive myself. However, I can't expect my wife to say, okay, yes, I'm over it. Mm-hmm. Forgiveness doesn't have an expiration date. Yeah, it takes time. That takes time. Mm-hmm. And so having to understand that when I want to be done with something or she wants to be done with something, that it's on my timetable. It's on when I'm ready.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of ice in the room during that time period because you're on edge. You know what I'm saying? You don't know, the slightest word, mm-hmm. Thought can re-trigger that whole thing that got you in that cold moment. Mm-hmm. And so you have to have patience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Patience is very necessary.
But you got to be careful with patience. You got to be careful with it. Bible talks about how it workers tribulation. Mm-hmm. Tribulation work of patience.
Come on, preach it.
Yeah, so.
Uh-huh.
Ha! So you got to be careful. And you just have you have to be, it's God's timing. Forgiveness is on God's timing, so.
Yeah. But you also had to make a decision to forgive. Because you can say God's timing, but if you never open up and allow yourself to forgive or to be forgiven, then that can stunt that as mm-hmm. well. Yeah. You have to make a decision. Yeah. So once you make a decision and you allow yourself to be in that headspace and then work towards it, then that can begin. Mm-hmm. Yeah.